How are the kids doing?
My kids are, they're good. They're, yeah. So we're homeschooling, which is new and exciting. I made a character to kind of get through it. His name is.
So you come in as a character, like you were.
Let him go.
Full body.
Listen to this. Listen to this. This is beautiful.
Wearing a tuxedo? Does your character have a tuxedo, coincidentally?
No, it's me. But like once 9 a.m. starts, I become Principal Cheeseburger.
Aww.
And Principal Cheeseburger, he has a voice and he has a way about him, and he's focused.
Would you just do it? Would you just please do it?
Just a little. Come on.
Okay, is everybody ready? It's me, Principal Cheeseburger. And now it's time for Cheeseburger High. At Cheeseburger High, we have all kinds of students. We've got children named Everest and Opal, and that's pretty much it. You know, they're here to learn, and we're going to learn so much. We're going to learn how to make cheeseburgers.
So everything is cheeseburger focused, obviously. And an important detail to know about Principal Cheeseburger is that he's in love with the lunch lady. And the lunch lady is my wife, Heather.
Thank God.
This is awesome.
But she's married to the pickle delivery man.
Okay.
And the pickle delivery man is me. That's me. And so
You think you haven't hired another person to be the pickle man?
no, Principal Cheeseburger's like talks shit about the pickle man all the time.
Well,
He's just
do
like,
you think Principal Cheeseburger wants to deliver the pickles?
absolutely, but he can't because he's running a school for children. And another thing you should know about Principal Cheeseburger.
And this is something that people have said all the time, and it's just a rumor that I find children delicious and that I've made cheeseburgers out of them. I haven't. That's a rumor that was spread by a journalist with a chip on her shoulder, and I'll never forgive her. It's not true. I find children to be wonderfully delicious, wonderful, and I would never, ever use one in one of my burgers.
And so this is his story. This all plays into, this is how we get through our days, is I'm Principal Cheeseburger, and it's the only way I can motivate the children to do anything.
Your kids are 18 and 15 years old. Is that correct?
Hey, this is Steve with the Punch Up Podcast. With me on this episode are Kevin Regan.
Hi, Steve.
Jessie Preisendorfer.
Hey, Steve.
Eoin O'Shea.
Hey, Steve.
And our storyteller is Sean Roach.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Sean, all yours.
So we moved to Martha's Vineyard to take care of my father-in-law. And we came here to help him because he had Lyme disease and chronic Lyme. And so I became a student of Lyme. It was all I spent all my time just learning everything I could about how to help him. And I couldn't really help my mother or father when they died, and I really wanted to help him.
And how old is he?
He's 73 now. So this would have been when he was about 71, 70-ish. And he was starting to show major signs of dementia. Which chronic Lyme sometimes shows up as mental disorders. They're in the chronic Lyme world. There are a lot of people who think that 50% of people with Parkinson's and dementia and Alzheimer's are going to just turn out to have some sort of form of Lyme, essentially a pathogen, an invader in your body. That it's not that your brain is having some weird breakdown, it's that you have an invader and we haven't figured it out yet. But that like 30, 40 years from now, they'll be looking back going, whoa. I mean, it's unbelievable that they couldn't see it. So long story short, he was not doing well when we've been here for about a year, and he was starting to have some bladder issues. And I had to take him to see a doctor, and he had a UTI, which is also very common when people have dementia. They'll start, a UTI can like exacerbate all their symptoms.
It also comes from fucking a lot.
This is true, which is not what he was doing. But yeah.
I'm just
Check that box off, Ian. Check that box off.
Well, he has the science corner.
This is a panel discussion. That's all.
So it's the number one thing a doctor will say when a dementia patient is like acting out. They'll be like,
Are you fucking a lot?
Are they having a lot of sex? So yeah, they'll check for a UTI. So I took him to a urologist, and it turned out he had a UTI, and he had to get a catheter and he had to get surgery.
Oh wow!
And so we live on Martha's Vineyard. This is where he lived, and we moved up here to take care of him. So
We get it. You're well off.
no, that's not at all the case. But the reason I bring this up is because to go visit a urologist means you have to get on a boat. You have to drive your car. There's no urologists on the island.
Is there a hospital on the island?
Yes. There's no, when it comes to specialty care, like think of any ologist, whatever it may be,
Biologist?
endocrinologist, urologist, biologist, right? All
Marine
of them.
biologist?
Marine biologists are there because I remember Matt Hooper came to that island, if you remember, in 1975.
And he stuck around, I bet.
And
Busted!
Unbelievable.
if you have an orca in your ass, then great. That marine biologist is going to be awesome for you. But if you have a serious medical problem, you have to take a 40-minute boat ride. And
So just to be clear, an orca in your ass does not qualify as a serious medical condition?
No, but if you have a lot of orcas in your ass, you can get a UTI. You know what? It plays better in video, Ian's expression, but the audio podcast is just like, that joke died.
That won't make it.
Sorry, buddy.
Nah, I don't want to edit anymore. It'll all make it.
so he was having, these issues, and we took him to a urologist, which it's a big deal. It's a lot of planning. It takes a week, maybe at minimum a few days. And we see the urologist, and he recommends surgery.
All right, hey, Sean, real quick. The populace of Martha's Vineyard it's a slightly older crowd, right?
I don't know if I know the stats on that.
No.
I think the year-round crowd is probably pretty easily. It's probably balanced. It might be a little bit older.
No, I mean, Martha's Vineyard is much like many vacation spots that I think it would skew a little older.
Very touristy, yeah.
But
in the summer,
yeah.
The
summer crowd, yeah, I would agree. The summer crowd,
there are retired, and it used to be their second home. Now it's their full-time home.
Yeah. I wondered if it lent itself to some of the time it would take to get any kind of an appointment if there's an older demographic in the area.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's difficult to get good medical care and to book an appointment. Well, even getting a primary care.
Yeah.
Like so you have insurance and you want to get a PCP, takes months.
Okay.
So just get that, what do they call that appointment?
So wellness.
The one where they are going to start care with you, where they have to do a full interview and check you out and get all your records.
Urologist.
Oh, like a physical or a
so close, Steve.
intake coordinator.
So where do you have to go?
I can't remember what that appointment's called. So I have to go to the Cape, so I have to take a boat to the Cape. And then if this doctor isn't on the Cape, I have to now drive off the Cape.
No, I'm sorry. You mean like a ferry, not like you don't have to take a dinghy over
Yeah. Sorry, we call it a boat here. Yeah, but it's a ferry.
You did say you drive your car onto it.
Martha's Vineyard is still part of the union, correct?
Well, so for example, if I want to go to
It
Home
is.
Depot, or I want to see my endocrinologist, I have to call, book a ferry for my truck. I have to show up a half an hour. So if the boat is at 9:30 a.m., I have to be there at 9. I have to sit and wait for a half an hour,
Oh my God.
drive my truck onto the boat, 40-minute boat ride, and then I get off in Woods Hole at the very bottom end of Cape Cod, and I have to drive now. And that's when the journey finally kind of begins. So right off the bat, you're looking at an hour and 15 to an hour and a half of like just delay and work. Like
No
you
wonder
think,
everyone
like,
has
oh my God, I gotta go
UTIs.
somewhere.
This is why everyone has UTIs, because you have
Yeah.
to piss for that long.
Yeah.
Also, why don't you guys just take the helicopter? Doesn't everybody have a helicopter?
Good point.
Duh.
We hadn't got
Okay.
the proper seat covers that we love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I hate that.
So the seats are uncomfortable in the helicopter. So we booked the boat. So I took him to a urologist, and this urologist, I took him for surgery. I took him 1 week, and then I took him another week, and I do this.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. You're in the truck with your father-in-law.
Yeah.
And I take it you two get along well. He's he's doing okay. He's maybe in some discomfort, but is that a real arduous trip? Like no words spoken, or does he actually hate you for having sex with his daughter, or like, how are things?
Right. So great question. So
Is it?
no, I think it's a good question. Like establish the relationship. So I would
Between who? You and Ian?
I would consider him a good friend. Like
Yeah.
for a father-in-law,
Great.
I had a lot of love.
Wonderful.
So I've known him for 16 years now. And when I first met him, when Heather and I lived together in Delaware County, suburbs of Philadelphia, he would come, and he would like come for a week to visit once a year. And like when he would come, he would say like, your attic's not insulated well enough. Like, why don't we go and buy some Tyvek suits and some insulation and crawl around in your 100-degree attic and re-insulate your attic to make your house more comfortable and more energy efficient. And I'm going to do that even though I'm 65. And it was just like, oh my God, this guy's like amazing. He's a great, like a very kind, helpful.
Sounds like an iconic dad.
He was really sweet. Yeah. And then not like a sit around and drink whiskey and talk kind of guy, like no alcohol, but like sit around after dinner and talk philosophy. Yeah. The guy.
So you guys got along great. This trip is not like a burden. You're like, I'm going to take care of him, and we're going to go, and you're able to chit chat and talk along the way.
Yeah, they became more burdensome as the dementia took over.
Sure.
But
Your relationship is strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of love,
Yeah,
but no doubt, like as the dementia accelerated, he became more. Less conversational, but also more judgmental. Mm-hmm. So it became harder to enjoy time spent with him.
Right.
But understanding that
You guys got the appointment. You're on the ferry. You're doing good.
So it's a long trip. So we see the urologist, and then we have to go back, and every day that I have to take him to the doctor it's a day trip. Like it's a 5-hour. Maybe 6 or 7 hour round trip for me.
Whole day. Yeah.
I'm no work, nothing. This is what I do. And I do this because Heather cares for the kids, and it's what we agreed. Like I'm happy to help her dad. Like I love him, and I'm happy to do it.
But you had even said, Sean, there was probably a degree, you weren't able to help your mom and dad, and there's probably a degree of that as well.
Yeah, there's some baggage there for sure.
You're a good person, and you were able to help your father-in-law.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So we thank you. But yeah, so So this is where the story gets kind of weird. So one day I take him for surgery. And I've done so many of these trips. I've taken him to Lyme specialists and all kinds of doctors. And we're at the urologist for surgery. This is scheduled surgery. And the urologist says to me, he's going to have a catheter. And it's after the surgery, he's going to have the catheter for 48 hours and then it has to come out. And I was like, so, how does that work? Like, do we come back 2 days later? And you imagine, you get it. It's like, so am I coming back 2 days from now for another 6-hour tour of
I'll be honest, dude,
Island?
I thought he was just going to be in the hospital after the surgery for.
No, it's so quick. They just go into his bladder and they removed all the stones, and it's a very quick. They're in and out. The surgery is 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. They're going in. They're doing a roto-rooter of his bladder.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, so we'll come back in 2 days? And he's like, yeah, we can, but I know the boat ride's a big deal for you guys. Like,
and don't bring that catheter.
Yeah, he's like, we could take it out, but he's like, people just do it themselves. And I was like, well, he has dementia. Like, the Lyme has manifested, like, to the point where he has dementia. Like, I think he just has dementia. And they're like, you should do it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, and he was like, no. And this is the urologist who is doing the surgery, who's talking to me pre-surgery. He was like, you could take it out. This is great. This is so easy. You've got this. I'm going to have the nurse train you. And I was like, no, I don't feel comfortable to do that. He's like, it's easy. Trust me.
Simple.
Like, you've got this.
Yeah, you could probably watch a video on YouTube or Pornhub. Either one.
Like, I'm going to have... Yeah. And I was like, no. And he just kept kind of shutting me down. And I'm not the kind of person to be shut down, but he just kept shutting me down. So he walked away, and then Chris went into surgery. And when he got out of surgery, I was like, I had like an hour and a half of like, no, I'm going to tell them I will not do this.
Talking to yourself in the reflection of the window. This is what
Will
you're
not
You're
take
going
his-
to your urologist. You're going to say, hey, Buster, I didn't go to school for this, and I can't do it because I'm scared.
Oh, I tried to do that. And he was like, no, you're going to be great. This is what loved ones do this. You've got this. Stop it. You're fine. Everybody does this. You got it. And I was like,
It's just like pulling the straw out of the top of a soda, like you get from McDonald's or something.
That's
you
all.
God, are you a urologist?
If your straw barely fit in the hole
In the first place, yeah.
Well, you got to go fast then. Get it fast.
real fast.
Honestly, Jessie, you could pass for a urologist. That's essentially how he presented it to me. And I was like, and I've been caring for this man for like a good year and a half, where it was like, I felt like it was my job. Like, they're telling me that the caretaker, the loved ones do it. And I was like, well, that's me, I guess. Okay.
I check the boxes.
I check all the boxes. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, they were really playing on your codependency.
What do you mean?
That they told you that you have to take care of this man, and if you don't, you're a bad boy.
Oh, yeah. Well,
The
sure.
little boy inside you was like, I want to be a good boy.
Yeah. We could say that. That hurts. It hurts me, but it's
I'm
true.
sorry, but
This is therapy, Sean. This is
John,
therapy.
there's a reason I love you deeply.
Because you see deep inside.
Share
me.
the same psyche.
So, yeah. So I bring him home, and I tell my wife what is expected of me, and she's like, "That's crazy." And I was like, "I know." I was like, "But I can do it." And what I had to describe to her was what happened at the hospital, which is after he got out of surgery, when he was laying in the bed, and he was like really out of it. There's a tiny detail that should be mentioned, which is like the dementia patients should never be given, they should never be anesthetized. They should never receive deep, like put you out, because it can cause dementia to accelerate. And we did not know that. We were operating under the thought that he had chronic Lyme. We didn't know that he had Lewy body dementia, which is what Robin Williams was suffering from when he ended his life. And so even the anesthetologist was like, oh yeah, in like a day and a half, he'll bounce back. And it took 3 weeks.
Oh, God.
And he never fully recovered. Like the anesthesiology, like those anesthetics, like just ruined him. When he was so messed up from that and he's laying in the bed, the nurse is like, all right, so you're going to be removing the catheter. And she pulls out all this stuff. She pulls out a full catheter that's like in a plastic, like, hermetically sealed package, all the stuff. So all the stuff that I would be using, but it's like fresh and hasn't been used. And I said to her, I was like, wait, how much is this tutorial giving? She's like, oh, this is like $500 or $600 worth of equipment. And I was like, and she's opening it and like, so this is how long the catheter is. Here's gloves. Here's a mask. Here's all these things. Here's the syringes you have to. And so the way it works is they stick it's a rubber tube with a balloon at the end. And then what they do is they inflate it inside your bladder and then it can't come out. So what you have to do is you have to stick a syringe in this end and you have to suck the fluid out, or air, or whatever it is. And then you can pull the thing out. Otherwise, you can't pull this thing out because it's got this huge ball on it. Yeah.
I could pull it out. I get it.
Yeah.
Tie it to a bumper. It's that Laverne and Shirley episode. You tie it to a bumper.
All you have to do, Sean, is get somebody who hates penises.
I'm a urologist. I'll get it out. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if any of you have ever seen a catheter before, but it's this thick. It's a rubber hose. In the moment, it felt like a garden hose. And at the end, with an enormous yoga ball at the end, I was just like, I was just losing my mind. And she's like, are you okay? I was like, no, I got it. I know what I have to do. I'm fine. I'm good. And so she's unwrapping all these packages, wasting all this amazing stuff that should just to show me how it all works. And we leave, and I'm blue, and I get home, and Heather's just like, yeah, like, are you crazy? And I was like, I'm supposed to do it. They told me I'm supposed to do it. I feel like and I was like, do you want to do it? You're the daughter. And she's like, I'm not going to do it.
One time?
At one time. So after 48 hours, his everything should be healed, and then pull it out, and then he can urinate normally.
Don't forget to take the air out first. You can't just pull it out.
So there's a lot of steps.
And if the syringe doesn't work, you got to just...
Yeah, you got to siphon it out. Yep.
I saw Cheech and Chong.
So even the first day he came home, like, I didn't know what I would have to do. I just... I didn't expect but all they said is like, listen, you're going to have so the bladder bag is attached to his thigh, and you have to, so he just urinates. It just goes straight from the bladder into the bag, and I have to empty the bag. And my wife, it just didn't feel right, and she didn't feel right. So it was like, it became my job. It was like, I have to empty the bladder bag. The first time I have to empty that, what you have to do is not complicated, but there's a number of steps to be able to pull the bag off, to hold it up, to pinch it off. And like, when I did that the first time, like it was just urine just went like all over everywhere.
It's like a sprinkling.
Yeah, and
Like
it's
changing a
not,
baby
and it's
boy.
not just. Go ahead, Jessie.
It's like changing a baby boy. If you don't field it, you're gonna
Yeah,
get.
Did
And
you, just to get in the mood and everything, Sean, did you put some R. Kelly on? Just to, I mean,
yeah. What's the remix one? That's
trapped
the
in
one.
the closet?
Yeah,
How many
remix to
Xanax
ignition.
did I take?
Ignition is what I put on.
It's
So, but it's not just urine; it's bloody urine.
Yeah.
It's like it's brown. It's very uncomfortable.
Do you,
So
do
it's
you have to, do you reuse that same bag?
No, you
Yeah,
don't reuse
yeah,
the
yeah.
bag. You
So
don't you don't reuse the bag, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The bag.
What do you do after you take it off and have thrown it at your neighbor's house? Do you then take it and clean it out? Is that the way that works?
I think you just take it off and you dump it. I think there's 2 bags. and you
Hold
put
on.
one
Why
off.
are you saying you think? You did this.
This was a year and a half ago, and I'm traumatized.
No,
Yeah, he's-
you would not forget. Like, you're traumatized, and every
Honestly,
dream you've had since.
You know
Like,
what
you
I've
dream
blocked
about
out?
your
I've-
kids,
I've-
and their head is a urine bag. Like,
You don't even
every
know.
dream.
You don't. Yeah, we cared for him with dementia for 2 years, and this was just the start. This is the funny story. The
So,
rest
yeah,
of it isn't
I'm
funny.
when's
The rest of it's so dark and twisted
When's the
that I
funny-
don't even remember any of it. I'm a disaster. Like, it's a mess what we've been through.
Good people.
So, yeah, well, so you got to pull the bag off and you got to pinch it or whatever, and then you got to put the bag back on and you got to
Right, so
drain
you're
it.
covered
I
with
think
the-
there was 2 bags.
Right, so you
Um,
got pee on you, and you're just like,
and-
okay, this goes
And the thing is so that the best way for during this 2-day kind of transition period is he needs to be pantsless, because you have a bag strapped here,
Yeah.
and then you have a hose that goes in here, and it's very uncomfortable. And also he has dementia, so he wants to be helpful. So very often the shirt that he was wearing would kind of, or like his clothing would kind of cover things. And I
Yeah.
have to be right there where it's like bag, hose, it's all in my face. And he's just like trying to help just by,
It's Ian.
and it's like, no, just keep it all,
Yeah.
keep it all down here. But he's just like, he's constantly just going like this, like, is that, and I'm, no.
You know what's nice though? Like, Julie and I always talk about going to Ireland and stuff, but it's nice to see where your wife came from, to visit that place, isn't it? I mean,
and honestly, Kevin, once again, you hit it on the head.
well, I hope you did it, because that will be problematic.
Yeah, no, like, it's hard not to look at this thing and know that's where my wife came from. That's where, and it's this enormous rope coming out of where this tiny hole, and it's so upsetting and up. This isn't a fun story at all. Are you sure you want to publish this?
It's also not a short story.
Yeah, you said it was short.
Long story short, we're gonna cut it short.
Too late.
It was 2 days of torture of me emptying the bag and not. I was happy to do that, and I agreed to do it, but that I knew what was coming.
Right.
Right. So yeah, what was the final, like, pulling the catheter out? Like, how did that go?
So Heather saw me fall into a deep, dark depression over 2 days, to the point where I had black bags under my eyes and was rocking.
Is this when you
It was
went out
like,
to the studio?
it's Wednesday.
Are you smoking cigarettes with your glove?
Wednesday's the day it comes out. I was not well, and she took me to the hospital, and they did it. They were like, "Are you kidding me? Why would they have told him that he's supposed to do this?" I was a disaster.
Really?
They did
Really?
it, and Heather was like outside the door, and when the nurse came, she said, "Oh, it was bad. Like, it didn't come out well. Like,
Oh
it was
man.
like a wet, bloody snake that, like, and it was like, and it just was a disaster, and that it would have been a nightmare. And thank God my wife is smart and I'm stupid, and so she fixed all that.
Well, you were just trying to look. As the husband of a working wife and an artist, like you're just doing anything and everything that can be done other than maybe bringing in some dollars. And I'm not. That's not like that's where I'm at. It's insane that they would ask you to do a medical procedure.
It was insane. Yeah.
It's insane that they would ask you to do an ologist's job on that island.
Yeah.
You can't
Honestly, it's the fact that they try and almost guilt you is weird, because like some people are going to be adept at doing something like this, and some people, and I would be willing to bet most people would not. But then they play on you the idea of any of us, because I would be in the exact same boat where I'd be like, if somebody said, well, people do this all the time, I'd be like, well, then I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Like that's
how I felt.
the thing that human beings do for each other. That's shitty, man. I'm sorry. That's
No, it's okay.
If it had gone badly, which apparently it was going to
Yeah.
go badly, then you have a 40-minute ride and a 40-minute boat ride, and then a drive to the nearest
and you're
hospital.
already in like a weird
with a bleeding penis.
yeah.
And he's not wearing pants in the truck. Just not a good scene.
How long did it take? Who recovered faster, you or your father-in-law?
Where is he? There he is.
Well, neither one of us have fully recovered.
No.
We're
Well, I'm sure your father-in-law is doing just fine with it, but you are left with the
he's
ghost.
moved on for sure.
You are left with the ghost
He and his dementia have moved on.
pulling out a tube out of your father-in-law's wang.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I thought it was gonna get to you doing it, because like I can only imagine for leverage, you've got to hold on, right? You can't just go, well, this is a one-hand job.
Oh,
You gotta
it's
hold
so
the base. You gotta
complicated.
hold the base. You gotta hold the base.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
gotta
no, no,
cup, do some cupping, holding, or
Yeah.
something else. Something
And
else.
that's what I didn't want.
I'm not an ologist, but you need leverage.